Family Guy.
Welcome to the G.N.A podcast, Games, Nerds, and Alcohol post-COVID edition. I did actually have it. Like I said last episode, hey, I might have COVID. No, I don't know what I got. I got something. I don't know what I got. No, I actually tested. I'm not one of those people who just go out and say, hey, I've got COVID because I feel bad. Nope. I went out, I got tested, came back positive. O2 stats dropped into the 80s, almost passing out, whole 9 yards, fucking COVID central. I am so freaking glad that I got vaxxed. D, you and I were talking about it the one episode, like a few episodes ago. If I did not, I swear to you, I probably would be dead and we would not be talking right now.
How am I surviving? Because I think I actually had COVID long before the vaccines. I had one of the original strains. How do I keep surviving? I'm on half foot into my deathbed already.
Yeah, I think that's how you do it, is because you've been in the military. They've injected you with every experimental vaccine known to man. So you literally just it's like Mr. Burns. Everything's trying to kill you simultaneously. You're actually not immune. You're a very delicate ecosystem. And if one thing goes only slightly off, you're dead.
Yeah, but it's all jammed in the doorway at once because it can't all quite get through. Yeah,
exactly.
Mr. Burns. Yeah, I think that's what's keeping me going.
Well, you heard him. We got D here tonight. We're also being joined by Eran the Destroyer. Eran, I have no clue why you keep coming back. I'm ugly as sin, so it sure as hell isn't that.
Well, I have a lot of time. And also it's fun. I don't know, it's fun. I know you guys are all like, oh yeah, we're all assholes and shit, but I am too. So I seem to mesh well. So I'm I found my people. They're just a bunch of assholes in this one place. I found it.
Ironically, a lot of us actually come from up in that area too, so I think it's one of those regional things.
It feels like home.
You found your drinking buddies. We're all just scattered across the states. Well, I'm always glad to have you back, and I'm glad to have you back, D. I know we got to do actually a super quick episode tonight for a couple reasons. One, D has got to be up in the morning because he actually works. I don't know. He's in the government and he actually works. That's an oxymoron right there. I don't understand that.
I'm a conundrum. That's what I am.
It's really weird. But anyways, we love you that you're here. We're glad that you're here because tonight's topic is, I'm actually just going to quickly tease it, is tabletop gaming. It's our top tabletop game stuff. And I wanted D here. That's why I'm pushing for this, because he is my tabletop man, and I love him for that. So we're going to try to blitzkrieg through our thing. Thankfully, we've got a short cast tonight, so it's going to make it a lot easier to keep this down to a reasonable time scale. When we have more people, it just ends up being a lot longer, and not a bad thing. It just ends up being a lot longer show because everybody's trying to get a word in edgewise, and everybody's always got something interesting to say. But for first segment, what are you drinking? I am going to start off because I am super lame. I am recovering from COVID, so I am not drinking a goddamn thing. I am drinking a plethora of water. That's what I am drinking. As soon as I am done with this, though, be prepared because I am probably going to drink myself blind. I think you're pretty lame too, D, because you got to get up in there early. Are you drinking anything?
No, I just kind of like water. I had some raspberry ginger ale. I mean, like I said, I got a raging headache. I'm all beaten up from dealing with a flood earlier, so...
Shit, man. That sucks. Well, Eran, I hope you are going to be our redeeming factor on this show tonight. Are you drinking anything with us tonight?
Oh, I sure am. I have my regular. I have the Guinness.
Oh, love
I have hot chocolate because I was freezing, so I was outside shoveling. And then I have water because you always need water. So I have 3. So I got all of it covered.
I just want to. I got to say this because I didn't say it the last couple times you were on. Guinness is like my go-to drink, my go-to stout when I just want to sit down and chill. Like I'm going to sit down and chill and watch a movie, or if I'm just chilling with friends or whatever. It is literally my go-to because it is stupid creamy, stupid easy to drink. And I got to ask this question because everybody who doesn't drink Guinness or has only had like one or two always says this. And I always scratch my head. Do you feel that Guinness is a heavy beer, like a thick, heavy beer, sits in you like a rock?
Absolutely not. It doesn't seem any heavier to me than when I drink Bud Light. But like, I know that it has to be a little bit, but I don't feel it as being heavy.
I'm glad that you said that because I've never found Guinness ever to be like a heavy, but I've heard people describe it as, oh man, that's a meal in a can. It's like eating a cheeseburger. And I'm just like, what? But have you ever had a black and tan?
No, I haven't.
So
I don't know what that is.
If you look up when you get a chance, look up a black and tan. It's Guinness and like another, it's like a Guinness and a lager typically, or Guinness. I think it's Guinness and a lager because Smithwick's is a lager. Harp is a lager. And it's usually Bass is a lager as well, but it's usually, it's a lager and then Guinness floating on top of it. And if you look at it, if you think about it, Guinness floats on top of the lager, which means Guinness is a lighter beer than whatever is underneath it because it floats on top. So
although ironically, it's a little heavy on me. I mean, I still like it and drink it, but it just feels a little bit heavy. Don't know why. I mean, my uncle's absolutely obsessed with it. My go-to drink is usually Hefeweizen. But
yeah, and this is a personal preference. I don't like super sweet beers, and Hefeweizen has always been a very sweet beer for me.
That's my thing. I like the sweet beers.
And do you like sours?
I do. Not as much. Not as much.
You know what, though? I hate sours, and I don't like sweet beers. So that you even like sours makes me think that maybe it's just like a taste palate thing.
I think it is.
Anyways, all right, I'm digressing, and I said it was going to be a short show. Jesus Christ. Okay, State of Games. State of Games is where we talk about what we played for the last week, or we just pontificate on how we feel gaming is today. I'm going to go again, because also I'm a bit lame. Was totally down with the sickness, literally. So I didn't really play anything. I jumped on and I played like... I did a little bit of Destiny 2, because my clan was looking for people to finish out a raid, and that was like literally all I did. Actually, I jumped on 7 Days to Die for a little bit to get the Horde Day done, and I checked out another game, Night of the Dead, that Wolfman had talked about a lot. Wolfman's over at Grindhouse or Grind Street. Crap, he's gonna kill me for not remembering. But he's another guy that chills out. He had a podcast. He's a streamer. I don't know if what he's doing now, but cool guy. But D, what's your state of games, man?
A little lame. I haven't been doing too much gaming with all the overtime, but I've been playing Terraria with my kids. You know, because it's a go-to relaxing game for me. I've been playing some of the classic Final Fantasies on my Vita. You know, when you got it from the PlayStation Store, like the 1, 2, 4 and 5 type deal. So I've just been playing through those. Kicking back and relaxing. So nothing too crazy.
No, that's there's nothing wrong with that. Did you read the news that the devs of Terraria or whomever have like done some super optimizations for it on the Steam Deck? So it's supposedly going to like work fantastic on the Steam Deck.
Yes, and also one of the problems it had is because I like to play like on the Nintendo Switches with the kids, is it was not optimized well for the Switch. It was very glitchy. They just pushed a new update that added a whole bunch of content on the Switch, and it cleared that up. That thing runs a lot smoother.
Dude, that's why I haven't played on the Switch.
Well, it used to be like when you get out of it in the Switch and you just try to get out of a game, like say, okay, let me save and quit. It took forever to save and quit, and sometimes it would kick you out and glitch. It doesn't do that anymore. It let out. It just takes a couple seconds and whoop, you're out.
Have they fixed the frame rate issues?
Much better. It's much better.
Oh, fantastic.
Not perfect, but it is much better than it was. So I would say give it another try. They added a bunch of more content, more things, more items and weapons and, monsters and other little things. Now there's even plants that attack you too, here and there, like little flowers.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat. The kids are really liking seeing the new updates on it, and I'm enjoying it too again.
Bitchin'. What about you, Eran? What's your state of games?
I've been hardcore into Bethesda titles, so Fallout 4,
Yeah.
Skyrim, and ESO has been like exclusively what I've been playing. But like I just got into ESO. Ooh, sorry.
No, I just picked up Skyrim Enhanced or Special Edition because I had the regular one.
Yeah, so I've been hardcore into that, but like I just started ESO, so like I'm only a level 30, and there's people running around like level 2000 something that have had this game for 11 years, so I'm like, oh god, I have 11 years worth of gaming to do this month. Like, it's hard.
Yeah, that's so daunting. That's like people like when they enter Destiny and shit. And I just say that because I play Destiny the most. People just talk about how daunting it is now to try to catch up on content, and they're vaulting content now. So there's like there's literal storyline that you can't access anymore. And it's like super frustrating. There's just a lot to do. And it's really hard to like tell a new person to jump into Destiny unless they literally have somebody there to hold their hand throughout the entirety of it until they can get their legs under them.
Well, I feel like a lot of games like Destiny and ESO do it is like they want you to log in every day, and there's like stuff that like, oh, you get extra experience if this is the first time doing I don't know, Destiny has like raids or whatever. And ESO has like tournaments and shit, like battlegrounds. So like it wants you to do all this extra shit on top of like all your regular story missions and side quests and crafting and all this other shit to do. So it's like I like it and I'm gonna get into it, but I'm not gonna like devote my life to it to try to stay updated on all this stuff. It's just too much.
Yeah, it's hard to stay valid in a game like that. And the way they break it down is because like the thing that drags you into a game like that is like you hear about all the end game content, like with raids and all this other stuff. And you hear about all this end game content. You're like, oh man, that sounds fantastic. I want to do that. But what they don't tell you is that to get to end game content, you've got to grind. You've got to grind through all this stuff. And you think you could just jump right into that end game content and you can't. And it's like, it's a letdown at times where you're like, holy shit, I should be able to do this and I can't. And I mean, I understand that, you know, they got to make it like worth playing. You know, they got to have that carrot. That's I've said this before on different shows that, you know, when they make a game like that, they have to have that carrot that you chase, that, you know, that one piece of equipment or that extra level or, you know, that one RNG roll that you're looking for. But man, that carrot is sometimes really, really hard to like rationalize doing.
Yeah, it's just a lot. And I feel like for like ESO, like if you do battlegrounds, it's everybody under level 50 gets grouped together and then everybody over level 50. So like when I hop in at level 50, almost every single other player is going to be like level, you know, 1,000, 2,000, like whatever. And I'm not going to be able to compete for hundreds of in-game hours. Like it's a lot.
Oof. Yeah, that's brutal. Yeah. I mean, the only good thing that I think, actually, no, because fucking PvP is trash. No, forget what I was going to say. Anyway.
I did pick up a little something, too, the other day.
Oh, my God. I love the Clock Tower series. Like, hands freaking down. I love the Clock Tower series.
They're getting pricey. So I got number 3 on the PlayStation 2. So, because the PlayStation 1 ones are getting pricey as hell.
Dude, I was just talking to somebody. It was Wolf. He was showing me his collection, I think last night, of his PlayStation 1 and games, and he's talking about getting rid of some. So, I mean, if you're looking for stuff and you're not willing to like try to rape the guy, talk to Wolf. He might have some things that you're interested in of getting off him.
Yeah, I usually talk to him quicker and more than I do. If you want to just give him a bug in his ear, I pay fair prices.
Okay, yeah, I'll next time I talk to him, absolutely, man, because I know that you collect. Because he had shown me his collection, I was like, holy shit! I was like, that collection's that's rivaling D's over there. I mean, he doesn't have as much as you, but he had like a huge wall, and he had like 2 other, I think, racks of it. So,
I've trimmed down quite a bit. I don't have quite as much as I used to anymore, by any means. But
he had a ton of stuff, and it looked like he had some PlayStation 1, Sega CD stuff. He had Genesis, Super Nintendo. He had some stuff.
Nice.
That I definitely thought. I definitely thought of you. So yeah, I'll definitely put a bug in his ear for that, man.
Yeah, because I got money for it. So I mean, I'm not going to undercut him and pay him like, oh, I'll give you $5 for that $300 game. No, I'm not going to do that shit. So.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure he'll work with you because I think he just wanted to. I think he wanted to get rid of some of it because he's moving or trying to move. So yeah, I'll actually reach out to him tonight and just say, hey, hook up with D if you're if you're dead serious about selling some shit. Hook up with D because he's got He's a collector. Like he's not a reseller. He's a collector. So he understands collector prices.
Yeah, and I'm looking to collect, not to resell for, so I just want something in good shape. I don't want to quite pay like the auction prices or some of the eBay prices, but
well, yeah,
they go a little, they go a little bit above and beyond. But
I mean, when a game is worth, if you got a game that's worth a couple $100, it's worth a couple $100.
I'll pay a couple $100.
It's worth a couple $100. Yeah, but there are definitely some inflated prices out there that are just fucking nuts.
Yeah. There's definitely some stuff out of my price range. I'm not gonna pay $1,500 for a cart like, say, Little Samson or something. Whether or not it's worth it, I'm just not. There's a certain level of pricing where I'm like, yeah, that's out of my range. But
100%.
I mean, I was so tempted the other night. Jess talked me down from it. I was about to drop $1,000.
Really? On what?
Well, over at That's Entertainment, the game store near me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Remember the old Sega CDX? The little one that looked like a little disc player?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, I used to have one. Mine died years ago. They had a mint condition one, fully tested, in the box, complete in mint condition for $9.99. And I was so fucking tempted. I could have too, but I was like,
holy shit.
I was tempted. And it's a fair price because they don't charge the eBay prices. They do undercharge. They do fair value, but I was so damn tempted.
I have not seen one of those in the better part of like over a decade. Probably the better part of 2 decades. Like I haven't seen one of those in a long time. Yeah,
they're hard to work on. You got to keep them running, and you can do some recaps of the capacitors because that's the biggest thing with Sega stuff is capacitor issues. But it's hard to find them in the wild, especially. I mean, when I finally got rid of mine, it had been broken, it had died out, and that's I sold it broken as is so somebody could repair it. Because I used to be pretty good at the circuit board stuff, but with the neurological thing, I don't have the coordination anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Keep toasting boards now.
Well, let's get into the meat of what we got going on tonight, because that is what I'm like super excited about. Because I've been trying to keep the show. I guess I've been trying to like change things up a bit. Not just always sit down and bullshit about absolutely nothing. Try to have some sort of topics that actually mean something to somebody. And like these are one of those topics that mean something to me because you can take this so many different ways. And in fact, you could probably do a 4-hour show on just this topic alone. But we're going to try to trim this down because I want to talk about tabletop gaming. And when I say talk about it, I want to like actually break it down to like our top 3, like go round table, give our top 3, give a quick discussion, and then come together and see if we can agree or see if we can hash out like an official top 3 for us. Because there are so many different things that you go on tabletop, and I will even extend, like when I say tabletop, I mean a game that traditionally was played on tabletop. We can even like, I'll even accept, like, let's say Monopoly, but the best version of Monopoly you played was on PlayStation 4 or some shit. Like, I don't care. I'll even accept that. But
so do we want to avoid like the typical, like, say, like D&D? Obviously, that's a big number one. We all play it. I've loved it for years. That's a kind of hands down. Everybody knows about it. Do we want to avoid the most, basic?
If I had a drink, I'd have to drink now, Dick.
I know, that's But I mean, do we want to avoid the typical like biggies, like D&D? It's like everybody plays, everybody knows it. Should we try to keep it to favorites that aren't quite the same big one, or just?
I mean, if you think that's your top 3, I would say let's make a case for it because you never know. I don't want to eliminate something and then have like a commonality between like let's just for argument's sake talk about D&D. Let's say it was D&D and you're like, oh, D&D's my top 2nd place, and I'm like, well, D&D's my top 1 place. That might limit our discussion because I might be saying, hey, that's top 1. You're like, no, this game is way better than D&D. So I mean, I don't want to limit that conversation really. No I would say whatever you want to bring to the board.
Just whatever. Okay.
So everybody have a feel for what we're going for? So it's basically top 3 and then give us a why. All right. So who wants to start? All right. Hey, I saw your hand move. Eran, hit it.
All right. So I don't know if this is cheating because I don't know if one of these counts. but it is played on a table. So my top 3, I'm going to go with Magic the Gathering is 1.
Ooh, nice.
This is the cheating one. Beer pong. I don't know if it counts. It is a game. You do play it on a table. It's wicked fun. And then my third one, a lot of people haven't heard of, and I played the one from like the 70s. It's called Balderdash.
Oh, yes.
And I used to love it as a kid. I haven't played it in a long time. I have to find it at my parents' house. But I used to love that as a kid because I just apparently really liked lying to people. So like those are my top. And I struggled to narrow it down. So,
dude, that's awesome. Dude, I haven't played Balderdash in for frigging ever. I might even still have Balderdash.
Yeah, I didn't even know, because I was like Googling to make sure that I wasn't like forgetting anything from like my childhood that I thought was important. Like I had like a list of things that I had to narrow down. So I looked on Amazon and like apparently there's like new versions of Balderdash that you can get. But like the one that I had was like the old like purple box with like the ye olde looking scrawl on it. Yeah. And like the old like yellow paper. And now it's probably yellow not because of dye, but because
it looks like Scrit.
Yeah, so like that's what we had as kids, and that's like what we played on with the original papers. I think we still have some of the originals.
That is awesome. Damn, you know what? That's a blindside. I did not expect Balderdash tonight. Holy hell. Okay, so what is that in the order that you would put them in? Is it like top 3, or how would you order those?
Oh, I really waffled on it. Balderdash just because like the nostalgia playing it as a kid. I think I'll probably move Balderdash up to 2 and put beer pong 3rd, because I don't think that if I wasn't drinking that I would be like, oh, beer pong's great. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it can't be your favorite if you can only play it when you're blasted. And then Magic has got to stay number 1 just because that's the one I play the most. I just got into it this year. I had never played it before.
Bitchin'.
So that's my order. Magic,
I dig it.
Balderdash, and beer pong.
I dig it. Man, I haven't played Balderdash. Dude, we gotta find a virtual version of Balderdash, or like throw it on Tabletop Simulator or something and play that shit. Because I haven't played it in forever, and I know I loved it. I know I love that damn game.
It was just wicked fun, man. So if somebody listens to this and they don't know what that is, basically it's a game where like you get a word and there's like the real definition, and then everybody's got to make up definitions, right? That's basically like the gist of it. And so that's what you do. So basically it's just you trying to bullshit and lie to your friends about the definition of words. And it can get really funny or like, you know, inappropriate wherever you go with it. But it was fucking awesome when I was a kid. It was like the best.
And that is a game that you play with all phones aside, nobody having a digital device in their hand. It's one of those things like, it's like getting into arguments with people who just Google everything. And it's like, you know, like when you want to have a discussion with somebody, like you ever have that where you're like, you want to just talk to somebody and just downright get on a level and just talk with them. And you're just like, oh, well, there's this. And they're like, well, that's not true. And you're like, well, I'm pretty sure it's true. They're like, well, no, that's not true. And then they Google it and they're like, well, no, it's specifically this. And you're like, all right, so I was off by like a syllable, dude. All right, really? You're like, that's your argument against me now, is I was off by a syllable. Like, we can't just have a discussion on it.
Confession, I used to be that person. Like, I had to be right, so I would argue everything. So, like, I had to train myself to, like, stop doing that. So I totally get it, and it irritates me now. But, like, I used to be that person that would, like, get right down to, like, the grammar of what you said. I was unbearable.
Yeah, like, and I can, like... And I love an argument. Ask D. I love to argue. But I love to argue as in the, hey, let's discuss this out. Let's argue. Let's bring ourselves to a higher level by having a counterpoint and then talking about it and then...
A cordial debate. A debate, actually.
Yeah, debating. I call it arguing because that's, in my mind, that's what it is. We're arguing. But yeah, a debate.
I think debating is just polite arguing with facts.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've always loved that. And I've always loved that, you know, that hearing somebody else's kind of side. And oftentimes, and this is a big secret, I guess, I don't know. I play devil's advocate. Like I'll be talking to somebody, they'll be telling me something that I agree with 100%. But I'll try to I'll do the same thing I do with myself, which is I'll think of the opposite argument and I'll try to argue the opposite side, even though I believe whatever the person is saying 100%. But I try to argue it because I'm like, well, if I can argue this person out of their position, then maybe my position on it isn't 100% and I need to relook at it. And that's my logic behind it.
My thing, because I love to debate. I'll talk about anything. My thing is, like, I just like hearing people with vastly different opinions than me because it's so interesting. And sometimes I feel like we get stuck in this, like, tunnel of, like, our own opinions, especially since people tend to surround themselves with like-minded individuals. It's like when you just talk to... Yeah, so you just talk to somebody that believes something completely different than you, and sometimes it's just, like, blows my mind. Like, oh, I had never thought of this situation like that, ever. And that's, like, the best kind of debate for me is when I'm just blown away.
So that's like me with Moonfat every now and then. And now I've got to start questioning because sometimes I think Moonfat is just shitposting. And then other times I think he's serious. But Moonfat has a very vastly different opinion on things than me. And I'm always interested to talk. And I'm always interested to debate. But I'm always like... It's always one of those things of like, all right, I don't want to piss off somebody. I don't know. Let's be honest. I don't care if I piss off somebody. But I try not to piss people off because just over the years I've learned that pissing people off doesn't keep friends.
Or could Moonfat be devil's advocating you?
He might be, and if he is, like, that's totally awesome. And
that's brilliant, though.
I mean, like, that's next level shit right there, and I give him total props for that. But that's Moonfat, and oftentimes, like when I talk to Daymok and stuff, he'll have a completely different view on something, and I'll be like, well, no, but it's this. And, you know, we'll just, I agree with you completely. And this is me trying to echo chamber. I agree with you completely. I love that debate. I love that counter discussion. But I love it when both people can amicably walk away and still be like, hey, yeah, we're still friends. We just had a disagreement. You know, it's like, you know, I can't tell you the number of times that I've just been like, well, we'll agree to disagree. You know, we've literally been just going back and forth. And it's obvious that our opinions don't match. We'll just agree to disagree. And man, one time a dude got so pissed at me because I literally just said that. I was like, well, look, it's like, we'll just agree to disagree. We're not getting anywhere. And he got totally bent out of shape. He's like, no, well, you're wrong. I'm like, okay, I disagree. Problem solved. Like, hey, we're done. Like, there's no point in us continuing. And they got super fucking butthurt about it. But you know what? It is what it is. Thankfully, that person is no longer anywhere near me. That kind of just worked its way out. So,
I had that happen with a stranger who I wasn't even speaking to.
Was her name Karen?
No, well, it was a dude, but maybe his name was Karen. I don't know. But I was talking to a friend in college, and I don't remember what we were talking about. But this stranger, like, didn't even come up to us to say. He, like, yelled across the student center and was like, told me, like, that opinion is ridiculous. That's so rude. And I was like, oh, yo, hold up. I'm sorry, friend. And then I was like, do you want to come sit and talk with us? Because I thought maybe this is something interesting. You know, maybe I'm a douchebag, like, and I don't know it. So, like, I was like, yeah, come sit with us. Like, you want to talk about it? And he just kept yelling at me and, like, berating me from the other side of the room. And I was like, all right, I'm sorry. Like, we're not going to agree. And he, like, would not stop. And he ended up getting escorted out of the building. So, like, that was the worst time somebody disagreed. But it was just so bizarre. And I don't even think we were talking about anything, like, polarizing. I think it was just, like, something weird, like, food at the college or something. Like, it was something really, like, normal. It was bizarre. Like
sushimi or sushimis, which people who say sushimis need to die. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but he had some opinions, man. Let me just tell you. And they were all about how terrible I was. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't. I don't know. I don't think we're going to come to an agreement on this one. I think I'm pretty swell. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Do you have terrible taste in food?
I'm not picky. I will eat garbage, so probably. Yeah, I don't have a leg to stand on with that. I eat things that are borderline inedible all the time. I have a problem.
Well, I mean, she drinks Guinness, so we got to at least give her that.
Is this a costume? Is Eran the Destroyer actually a raccoon?
I've been accused of this a time or two.
Trash Panda.
Yep.
Trash Panda ninjas.
I dressed up as a raccoon once for Halloween and kept taking other people's stuff and claiming it to be mine, so I'm not really giving myself a case. Yeah, I'm just garbage, really, just all around. I have dark circles, I eat garbage, and I'm awake at night. It's pretty much, that's me in a nutshell. It's just... whole personality.
All right. Well, back to the tabletop things for just a second. You said you just started up Magic the Gathering like the last year. This is coming from like an OG Magic player because I played it when it first came out, and D's nodding because I know he was there with me.
Alpha and Beta, we were there. We played them.
Do you find that there are too many rules and too many kind of moving parts in Magic now, or do you
too
feel
many versions? Because they got like regular Magic, they got like Commander, they got some other stuff. It's like I'm just sitting there like a lot more complicated when I was young than when I was young.
Well, I was trying not to sway her by like, hey, I don't like this, but yeah, I mean that's
no. I mean, I like it.
Going.
Just I'm trying to get back into it after years, and I found that there's so many flavors. I'm getting a little confused. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's like it seems like there's a lot more than there used to be.
Since I just started, I was kind of thrown into having 7 million different types. I have only ever played Commander, so like okay. I don't know if that's harder or easier than any other types, but I mean, I don't mind it. Once I figured out how to actually play the game, it wasn't that bad. I just approached it like I approach criminal justice classes. Like I attack every card like I'm a lawyer, and I'm like, okay, what exactly does this mean? What exactly does this do? And then that made it a lot easier for me to figure out how to play everything. But yeah, it was a steep learning curve at first, which is why I didn't touch it for such a long time. It just sounded like it was just too much, especially when like veteran people would talk to you about it. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. I don't know what any of this is. Like, just let me look at shit and figure this out. Like, I don't know what's happening. It's too much information.
Don't you understand the words that come out of my mouth?
That and what they did to us, like some of our OG players that haven't played in years, there was like a lot of abilities. It's like people are like ratting off all these abilities. I'm like, what the fuck is they talking about? Oh, this does this. And I'm like, that's Swamp Walker. That's
First Strike. Like what?
Yeah, they just renamed a lot of abilities. And I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
That
was my problem. And that's one of the reasons I haven't jumped back into Magic. That and I have an addiction problem when it comes to trading card games. But one of the other reasons was that like it was just like I had a very solid knowledge of how to play Magic. And trying to jump back into it now, I was looking at it like, what the hell is half of this stuff? And people, like before it was like, hey, here's the stack. And there was only certain ways that you could interrupt the stack. And there was, you always resolve the stack, top to bottom, bop, 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 bop. You resolve the stack. But now it's like they've got some weird infinite combos and shit. And I'm going, holy crap. Like people sit down and think of this shit. This is next. Like this went beyond fun for me and into like, I'm fucking working here. Not that it's a bad thing. I love Magic. Don't get me wrong.
I bring in a bouncer and it's gone. Okay, I'm going to start playing the game I first got and you're dead. What?
Exactly.
What's going on?
I think the biggest problem I've run into is, so like I don't play competitively or anything. I don't play in tournaments. I don't spend a lot of money on it. I usually buy, I only have 3 decks and 2 of them are pre-built. And the one that I made from scratch, I had 2 of my friends that play in tournaments and one person that worked at a game store build it for me using the random shit that I had. So like the biggest issue is like if I end up playing with people that have spent like thousands of dollars on a deck, you're just not competitive with regular stuff. And I'm not willing to dump money into it. So I just can't win with those, specific people.
I like to be funny with those. Like, I just like to play for fun. I built a whole deck around one creature before, a sneaky homunculus. I call it the sneaky homo deck. It was pretty funny. It was a 0/4 creature that couldn't be blocked. So I built a whole deck about him. Basically, he was unblockable, but he's a 0/4, and I built the whole deck about basically sneaking him through and just pumping him up. It wasn't the greatest, but it was funny.
Yeah, hey, that's the thing, though. Is if you're having fun, you're having fun. That's the important part.
No, that's fantastic.
All right, so
thralls.
Let's flip around to you, D. So we heard Eran's top 3. What you got? Give us your top.
Number 1, I don't think is going to be any shock to you, Cecil. I know because you grew up with me. Number 1 has got to be my favorite board game of all time, Risk. I love that game.
Oh yeah,
I just love trying to be competitive. Trying to take over the world. Heck yeah. Taking over the world. It's in the blood. So I really enjoyed the competitiveness of Risk, and and also like you call it Risk. I mean, the roll of the dice. Sometimes you could have the best laid plans and the best, tactics, and if your rolls suck, that's it. You're without an army. Or you can roll fantastic. It's kind of cool, that little luck plus the skill combined. So I've always liked Risk, and along with that, I mean, you could also say like a very close similar is like Axis and Allies too. I enjoy because it's very similar.
Yeah, I would put those kind of like in the same real vein.
It is. I mean, Axis and Allies is a little bit more complicated, but I really like the classic Risk. And there's a few cool flavors of it too. I mean, I love to play the classic, but the Lord of the Rings one was neat too. I still have that one as well.
We never finished that game.
No, we didn't. Number 2 would have to be White Wolf's Vampire the Masquerade.
Intriguing.
I loved playing the Vampire Masquerade.
What version?
You know what? Even though I like the original version best. The original Masquerade version.
Well, there's second edition all the way up to fifth edition. There's
like second edition. I mean, I like the original that came out. Sorry, I was like, there's so many new editions I'm not used to. I'm like,
no.
I'm used to like the old school.
The reason I ask is because in Vampire the Masquerade, there are stark contrasts and differences between like second edition and I think it's called fourth edition. It's actually called something different. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's the fourth edition.
I haven't played the newer. Yeah, I haven't played the newer.
Yeah, then there's the fifth edition that came out that actually rolls back to the more second edition stuff. That's why I wanted to be 100% clear on what you meant, because there's a very big difference between versions. Yeah,
I'm not used to the newer versions. All I played was the second edition. But I really like the old big green books, the classic books. I like the whole. I mean, I like D&D and D&D like games, but I'm a big horror buff. I love horror, movies and all that stuff like that, comics, books. H.P. Lovecraft, yes, exactly, Cecil. That's the version I love. One with the rose in the front. And what's great about White Wolf is, besides the horror, of course, that had all the really cool, the whole lore behind all the different clans. You had all these clans, different abilities, different lore. But I also like the fact that you can also they had extra stuff. Werewolf the Apocalypse. You can throw in werewolf, so you got werewolves. You can throw in mummy, and you can throw in like magicians and ghosts. So you can throw in even some more of the fantasy and the horror in there too, so you can also add those other modules, and I just really like doing that because I've always loved D&D style games, but horror has always been a thing for me too.
Very nice. Okay, I mean I expected to hear that tonight, just not from you.
So those are the top 2. Number 3, and then I've got an honorable mention, but number 3 I would have to say my wife got me hooked on because she loves it. We just kind of experimented, played around. It's like, this sounds really cool. We tried it when a friend brought it over, and it's a deck building game. Now It's not like Magic where you pre-build your deck and you have it, trying to compete and everything else. It's called Dominion, and there's a lot of different. Yes. It has so many add-ons, so many flavors. What it is it's a competitive. You can play up to like 4 players, I think. So you all, as you play, it's like you start off with just a few cards. Mm-hmm. And you kind of like, and part of some of the cards are like money, some of the cards are different like abilities and things, and you're trying to collect resources. And as you play, you collect more cards. You try to build your deck up to, you can go for more of attack, more of going more towards straight the resources, and you try to outcompete and play, and you can curse other players, or maybe you can, steal something over there, and you try to build up your resources quicker and get an edge. And at the end, whoever has like the most money or resources or whatever wins. But there's a lot of different ways and builds and start games you can play, even with the core game. So it has all the rules and has all the setup and everything else. So it's not too hard to get into, and you can always refer back to that. But you've got a lot of different modules now. You can add on all kinds of crazy add-ons to it. So it's pretty fun. And honorable mention, I just bought again finally because we had some family members come over and destroy the game, and they actually stopped making it a few years ago.
Oof.
And I was trying to find it for years. I wanted to replace it, and I couldn't. I kept, finally I looked it up. I was like, oh, like a few years ago, they stopped making it. It's discontinued. Well, I spent a little money. I got online on eBay, and I actually spent a little money. Yeah, because now, thankfully, I only spent $90 on this, but it's going for like $180. But it's my favorite version of Monopoly.
Okay.
It's called Monopoly Empire.
Holy shit. I have not seen that in forever.
It is not like a regular Monopoly game. Instead of, like, say, just going around the board and collecting land, you collect, like, say, IPs, intellectual properties like Xbox, McDonald's, you're trying to basically collect businesses. And depending how big the business is depending how big the piece is. We have like a little plastic tower, and the quicker you fill it up to the top, so bigger pieces obviously will get you up there quicker. You fill it up to the top, you win. So it's a quicker game than regular Monopoly, and you have it easier to define a definite winner as opposed to the whole, it's a little bit more, subjective in a regular game. It can drag on a lot longer. It's a little harder to get to an actual winner. But in this game, it's like Monopoly, but sped up and with a definite winner, and I really like that. And it only goes up to 4 players, so it doesn't go up to like the 6 or, more that you can have in Monopoly. But it's a lot of fun, and the wife and I love playing that.
Very nice. Well, dude, I haven't heard that game in a while. God, I'm hearing games tonight that I haven't heard in forever, and that's awesome. So my top 3, actually, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to give you my third one first. It's actually a trading card game, kind of similar to Magic the Gathering. It's a game that went out, I think, years and years ago. They don't even make it anymore, but it was called Versus. It was Marvel DC Versus. It took a lot of different aspects of like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic, and it kind of took, in my opinion, like the best parts of all those games, and then made them into a trading card game. Now, the cool part about it was that, whatever character you liked, you could find. So if you're a Marvel fan at all, you could find a character and get it. And I still have probably 2,000 some odd cards. I'm pointing at it. You can't see it, of course, but I've got like 2,000 cards still sitting over here because I've just never gotten rid of them. I keep saying I'm going to sell them, and then I never do. But
I think you still also have the deck that you put together for me or I helped build.
Oh yeah, probably. Too. It's probably still in there. I probably never touched it. But yeah, it was a really fun trading card game. It was out. It had a lot of steam for a little while, but like a lot of those niche games, it just died out. It came out at the wrong time. If it had come out back when maybe like Iron Man 1 first came out, it probably would have a lot more steam and a lot more people jumping on board with it. I honestly don't know if they make it anymore. I probably should look. But anyway, I mean, the artwork was fantastic. The people, just like when you see on most of these trading card games, the artwork, absolutely fantastic. Very, very enjoyable to play. And there were just some really interesting, ways and combos that you could do. Like the Sentinel deck was just friggin' devastating for the longest time. And then Green Lanterns came out, and the Emerald Knights deck was just fucking devastating. And it's a fun game. My number 2 is actually, it's kind of another card game, but it's not. It's called Gloom. And I don't get to play it that much because it's not a difficult game to play. It's actually a really easy game to play, but the premise around it is a little bit more difficult. So the way the game goes is you've got different family members or different families. And each family is they're like the Addams family. They're just really weird. And you draw cards, and as you draw these cards, they have different events that happen on them. Some of them are good and some of them are bad. And depending on they have different card values. Basically, the goal of the game is to have every member of your own family die in the most horrific way possible. But that's the simplest way of describing it. So, you can play the game with really no life whatsoever and just put down a card and say, yeah, I'm doing this. But kind of the point of the game is to lay the card down and then tell a story. So, like for instance, you have one of your characters, they go on a picnic and they put the picnic blanket on top of a beehive and they get stung. Didn't kill them, but they got stung and they're horribly maimed. Well, then you get a card that says they found true love. So now you've got to you could just put the card on top of it and be like, oh, they found true love. But the fun part of it is that storytelling part that I and D, you probably know where I'm going with this, which you're going to see my number 1 in a second, is that storytelling part of it. So it's like, yeah, so that day they were going out for a picnic and they put their blanket on these bees and these bees horribly maimed them. But the ambulance driver that picked them up and brought them there just saw this spark in their eye and fell in love. And now you guys are getting married, just making up the bullshit story and just making it funny and just the whole premise of the game is just literally to get your characters or to get your family members to die horrifically. So it's just
So it's like Tecmo's Deception, Family and Card Game Edition.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's a fun, cute game. There's a digital version of it, and it's nowhere, like, don't get it. It sucks. It's really a game that you want to play sitting around a table or even at a virtual desktop and lay the cards out and, like, get that kind of flow going. Which then brings me to my number one, which I'm actually going to expand it past what you said, but it's pretty much the same thing. It's the World of Darkness. I am actually all good with all of it, except for the line of, it was called Vampire the Requiem. And that was that 4th edition I was talking about. The reason I love that specific tabletop game, is because it's centered more around storytelling. It's not like D&D. Don't get me wrong. I love D&D. I love Pathfinder. I love Middle Earth role playing. I can rattle off probably a dozen more. I love them, but they always break it down to it's really more about combat than it is about role playing. And that's what I liked about the World of Darkness, and that's what I liked about Vampire the Masquerade, is that it's more focused around storytelling. Things that happen in it are way more interesting, like the politics of what are happening, or the mystical creatures. Like, why the hell are we being pulled to this airport that's surrounded by werewolves? And why are these werewolves so viciously guarding this airport? What the hell does this have to do with anything? What was this girl that we were supposed to go save? She turned into a friggin' silverback and tried to kill us. Like, what the fuck? So, I really always, I've tried to dive into, because D&D is more popular, and it seems a lot more people want to play D&D than want to really play Vampire the Masquerade. And I kind of blame that on, I don't know, I'm kind of pontificating here, but I kind of blame that on the wake me up to roll people. Do you know those people?
I don't know what that means.
So, like, have you ever played like Dungeons and Dragons or Middle Earth role playing or anything like that?
I played D&D once, so I'm not really well versed.
Okay. Well, I don't know how. I'll just describe it, a typical session. So you get people around the table. You've got the DM who's spent whoever knows how long prepping for the damn game, and they've got a storyline that they're trying to tell, or a path for you guys to take, or whatever it may be. And you get those people who literally just sit there and, they're doing this. Uh-huh. And then you're like, all right, it's your turn. All right, I'm going to roll. I roll a 20, put my addition of this on there. Okay, I do this. What did I do? And they literally, they are completely not invested in the game whatsoever. They are literally just wake me up for when I got to roll and tell me what I did.
Wake me up for combat, pretty much. Well, do we kill the village,
Yeah, wake me up for combat, but it even extends farther than that, because, you'll be like, all right, you're in the bar. What do you want to do? And they'll just be like, I want to talk to this person and get information. And they'll roll. They're like, all right, well, what do you want to do? And then that person just 100% checks out. It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's like a selfish player is more what I'm more irked at than a wake me up to roll character, because maybe I'm kind of rolls in the same thing. But in Vampire the Masquerade, it's a little bit harder to do that, only because if you're not paying attention to the story, you don't have fun. Like, you just, hands down, you don't have fun. Then again, you do have those people who are still like, I'm going to make a dildo bat and try to attack these guards with it. Zyber, I'm looking at you.
There's a video game. It's called, what is it called? The Saints Row. You get a dildo bat.
That's probably where you got the idea from.
Yeah, the end of it flops around and everything. It's very, very graphic in your face. But honestly, I feel like that would kind of be hysterical in D&D to be like, okay, I'm going to roll a 20 and I'm going to bludgeon somebody to death with a dildo bat. Because, like, what do you say about that? Like, yeah, nope, they got owned. Like, they did that. That happened. And then you just got to move on.
That's exactly what happened, actually. Like, I was like, because I'm one of those people that I'll let whatever, like, if you're having fun, as long as you're having fun, as long as people are having fun and you're not taking away from others' fun, go for it. Like, fucking do it. If you're all having a good time, let's roll with it. All right, yeah, you made a dildo bat. I have no clue how I'm going to stat out a dildo bat, but we're going to stat out a dildo bat, and you just smack that motherfucker in the face with it. That's what just happened.
Plus 5 to humiliation.
Yeah, perma damage, mushroom stamp. I don't know. Permanent disfigurement. There we go. But yeah, so I've always dug Vampire the Masquerade and just the World of Darkness, and that kind of touches into what Dee was talking about, where you can have Wraith the Oblivion, you can have Hunter the Reckoning, which you are literally vampire hunters. You're hunters of supernatural things, and it's always, you can have so many different storylines in it, because like one of the things that, okay, here's one of the things that disturbs me about D&D. The evil character. Okay? So the evil character. People don't understand the concept of an evil character. They think an evil character is an asshole character. That's not an evil character. An evil character is not somebody who walks around swinging their cot around because they feel they're better than everybody else. No, they just do evil shit.
But a good evil character doesn't always do it all the time. Sometimes they're like, the most evil people hide it and they're on the down low.
That's a smart evil character.
Yeah, smart evil character.
There's a thing, like, an evil character who's just an asshole, that's usually who we call, the grunts, the cannon fodder.
Yeah.
And I always, like, when I've had evil characters in my parties, I've always been like, hey, guess what? You're going to die because you're acting like a grunt, and that's what's going to happen. But, like, I like evil characters. I like it when you have an evil character and a good character, and you try to play that dynamic out, because most people, and this is just meant as not pointing out everybody, most people will meta the hell out of that, and they'll be like, well, I know he's an evil character, so I'm going to question everything he says. And then your character ends up becoming the asshole character because you're like, well, why did you do that? Well, because I wanted to. Like, what? I don't understand the question here. Because I rape cats. That's what I do. Like, that's my fetish. Why are you judging me?
It would be like a fun thing to do. Don't have anybody like say, it's like, okay, everybody picks like say the or everybody gets assigned like say an alignment, right? Most of the party will be decent and good. You have like one smart evil character that says nothing about their alignment, and play with like the one in the group, kind of like the one spy in the group or the one douche in the group. But as long as they do it smart, so they're not outwardly doing stupid shit, that could actually play really well if you have the right people. Well,
I've tried to do that where you've got like the one evil character who's not like, and it always ends up being like the rooting out the spy thing. And people don't, people always play that version. It's like, that's not where I was going with this. But I mean, if you want to do that.
No. Don't even inform anybody that there's one. Just say, you're not, don't let, if you do evil stuff, just keep it on the download. It's not like, oh, one of you is going to be evil. No, it's you just playing as if it's a whole party trying to save the world.
Well, yeah. And that's the way it should be. Like, just a whole party trying to save the world. And even if he's an evil character, like in my mind, if you've got a lawful evil character, and you've got, like, I don't know, let's say a lawful evil rogue, and you've got a lawful good paladin, okay? You've got some motherfucker that you got to get information out of, and he's not talking. That rogue just turns to the paladin and says, hey, can you run and grab us some snacks, man? I'm kind of peckish. He leaves the room, and that paladin knows what's happening. Like, he knows exactly what's happening. He just turns around, he walks out. And then that rogue turns around to that person, and he goes, hey, are you circumcised? And like, that's like the scene end right there. We just do a roll and we say, okay, Paladin gets back. There was some heinous shit that happened. And you're like, what happened here? He's like, I don't know. I was sitting there. He tripped. Next thing I know, his pecker's on the ground. Like, what was I supposed to do? I tried to help him. I got the acid to try to cauterize the wound. I got the fire poker. How was I supposed to know the acid was flammable? It's not supposed to be flammable.
Good cop, bad cop.
Like you could like that would be a like a Starsky and Hutch type of thing, like a friggin' Lethal Weapon thing going on there. No, but anyway, so that's why I like Vampire the Masquerade, because every character in some way, shape, or form is evil. You know, whether you're a vampire who, you know, has to feed on people, you know, you can try to do the redemption story if you want, but every character in it is in some way, shape, or form evil because they're playing evil creatures. You know, they're playing inherently evil creatures. So you've got that dynamic going where you've got people who are trying to be good, but they're an evil creature. So it just, I've always liked that dynamic more. And I think for storytelling, it really does make a really great thing. Alrighty, so we have got our top 3 from everybody. And I think we've heard some good reasoning on why. So you think we can consensus on a top 3, or at least maybe even a top 5. Let's extend it out there, because I think it's worthy of a top 5. Like
I think we can.
I got to admit, like I really enjoy Vampire the Masquerade, but I know I enjoyed the hell out of Magic the Gathering when I was a kid.
Same.
So
I didn't stop until I think just shortly after Mirage. Maybe it was Alliances I stopped.
So I mean, I'm actually willing to argue that Magic the Gathering should be number 1 for tabletop.
Ironically, I actually started collecting them again.
So I mean, would you say that Magic the Gathering is good number 1?
I can concede for a good number 1.
What were you gonna say?
I think it's a pretty good number 1. Sorry, no, I didn't mean to interrupt. I stuttered on pressing my button for some reason to like mute and unmute myself. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I think I don't know which one is like the most popular, like statistically number wise, but I think Magic's a pretty good one for a number 1.
I honestly think Magic the Gathering should be number 1. So.
Yeah, it's not a statistic or popularity. It's just our number 1.
Yeah. It's we're talking. Just 3 people talking around, you know, doing the thing around some mics.
Yeah.
So what's your number 2 be?
I haven't played it, but the one that you guys were both playing, I know that you picked different editions, 2nd and 4th, but like I think like story wise, it sounds like it's better than D&D, which is another super popular one. But I personally haven't played it. So I can't get, like, I'm not super for or against, but, like, it sounds like something really interesting for people who have vivid imaginations.
All right, so we're talking Vampire the Masquerade for number 2. I'm okay with that.
I'm on board with that.
And just for clarification, I was actually saying I don't like 4th edition. I prefer 2nd or 5th, which they both are in the same, like, realm. Yeah. 4th edition, they started making some weird changes, and it was called the Requiem, and it just, I did not like. I have it, but I did not like it.
Then I changed my answer to 2nd or 5th.
Final answer?
Yeah, final answer. Once again, definitively final, not changing it.
Alrighty. Well, we got to come up with a 3rd here. And I don't know, there's some really great games here for 3rd.
And we've got wildly different, different groups of games too, but they're all great games.
I mean, I can argue Risk, because Risk is a great tabletop game. Have you ever played Risk, Eran?
I did as a really little kid, but I don't think that we played it correctly because we didn't read rules, or at least read them consistently. So I don't think we ever played it right, but I remember having a lot of fun. So, like, it counts.
See, I've never played Dominion, or maybe I have. Did I play Dominion at your place?
You did. You did, like, once.
God, and I honestly, I can't remember it, to be, like, blunt. I just cannot remember it. And I don't know that anybody else has played Gloom other than me.
No, but it sounds like a lot of fun. Like, it sounds like something I'd like.
Yeah, next time I'm up, I got to bring Gloom with me, and we got to throw down on some Gloom, because that's, or maybe we can find a tabletop simulator version of it, and we can jokatively play around in there, see if it works. Not in VR though. VR hasn't fixed that yet.
I can channel my inner Edgar Allan Poe. We'll do some Gloom.
Yeah, it's fun as shit, man. It really is. Let's check that out.
Good.
I don't know. I'm teeter-tottering between Boulder Dash and Risk, to be 100% honest. Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm biased as hell because I don't remember really playing very much of Risk, and I haven't played any of the other games except for Monopoly, but not even the Empire version. So like, it's hard to have opinions on things I don't know about. So I'm like, I'm stuck. Like, I don't want to just really heavily argue and then be like, but I have no idea what the other side is, kind of. I mean, aside from your descriptions.
Well,
anyway.
Let's go down here. All right, fun value for Risk. I enjoy playing it. The game is just super long. Like, I mean,
it is.
We've had like 6-hour
really
games, and that's like Monopoly. That's one of the reasons why I didn't pick Monopoly, is because Monopoly you can sometimes have like 6-8 hour games, like games where you stop playing, take a picture, and then start playing the next day type of thing.
Except Empires is not like that.
Interesting.
Next time you're up, because me and the wife love playing it. When you're up, we're gonna have to try a game. We're gonna throw down on a game and see if you like it.
I accept that. I accept that challenge, and I will get my ass kicked because you and your wife will gang up against me. I don't know. I don't remember Baldur Dash being like longer than a 45-minute or hour game.
Yeah, I remember them being really quick, but I also remember it being like hysterically funny because a lot of times people would like throw out definitions that were like really bizarre, but because none of us had any idea what those words actually meant, like it was really funny. So like I remember having a lot of fun playing it. They were really short, but I think there's also something to be said for a game that you could sit down and play 6 hours of. That's not like, you know, a highly immersive video game. Like that's something really special, I think. Yeah,
that's also a very good point because like it can get and like there are sessions of Risk where it can go back and forth. Like it's not like with Monopoly, once like somebody starts to get a gap, like it's hard to fill, like it's hard to catch up. But in Risk, you can get some lucky rolls, or for the person who's winning, some really unlucky rolls, and it can turn around real quick. So I mean, like that game, like Monopoly doesn't have like that luck value to it. I mean, it does because you're rolling around and you're randomly rolling on and hopefully picking up stuff. But Risk has got much more of that randomness to it. Hence why I like Vampire the Masquerade and stuff, because it's got the, you know, the added bonus of luck value of rolling dice. Man, I don't know what. I'm leaning like is basically 1 vote Baldur Dash and 1 vote Risk right now.
You like, gotta weigh in.
Unless somebody else has got another option for third and they think is better.
Beer pong. I'm just kidding.
I gotta go with Risk because you know I love my Risk game.
God damn. All right. Now I guess I gotta be the tiebreaker vote. I gotta piss somebody off. Oh,
not gonna pick me off. It's because there's a lot of good games. I mean, and I'm sure we didn't even touch on. I'm sure if we sit down and think some more, we'll probably have even more of those board games.
Well, that's why I said we could like go for 4 hours just on this topic alone. You know what, Eran? I'm sorry. I gotta go Risk. I got it because I mean, and you bring up a good point. Like I brought up playing for a long time as a negative, but it's also can be a positive because like what other game can you really sit down and be interested in for that long?
Yeah, like, I mean, I get it, because, like, I think about it in, like, Risk, you can play these 6-hour games, and it wouldn't feel like a chore, but I feel like if I sat down and we're like, we're gonna play Baldur Dash literally for an entire work shift amount of time, I don't think I'd be able to, like, I think it would start to, like, lose the appeal after maybe, like, hour 2, or, like, during hour 2. Like, I don't think it has that, like, longevity to it that, like, Risk or Dominion or some other games would have, or Monopoly.
You know what? I think I'm down on that. So I mean, well, how it turns out, ironically, is every single one of ours top 1 ended up in one of our top 3 spots, anyways. So I mean, Magic the Gathering 1, we're saying Vampire the Masquerade 2, and Risk 3. So I mean, our top for each one of us made it to top 3, anyways. So, well, there we go. There we have it.
You know what's another great board game?
Hit it.
Clue.
Oh, dude, no. Ask my wife and my child. Clue is not a game you play with me.
But why I bring it up is there's another version that's really neat that you should try.
Oh, hit me.
There's a Harry Potter Clue. They actually changed it up a bit, so it's Clue, but it's a little different. Look it up. Try it out. It's Harry Potter Clue is actually pretty fun. It's neat.
I will check it out. Well, look here.
We have it at our house.
Quick story before we wrap up, and I'm gonna make this super quick because I know you got to go, D. I know you said you only had an hour. So, my wife and child literally, like, they hate playing Clue with me. I'm really good at Clue, and I'm not. Look, if anybody knows me, they know that I'm not a guy who sits here and swings my cot around like, I am the best at this. No, I'm usually the guy who says, no, hey, there are plenty of people better than me. I'm really good at Clue. My uncle forever ago taught me how to play Clue. It's all deductive reasoning. And if you know Sherlock Holmes, if you've ever read Sherlock Holmes, then it's all deductive reasoning. And my uncle, who was literally a certified genius, taught me how to play Clue. And ever since, I've always, like, everything he's always told me, I've just learned and honed. So when we play Clue, I normally, like, when we would normally play Clue and everybody gets the same amount of cards and all that shit, I would normally, within like 4 or 5 turns, already know who's in the middle. And it would piss everybody off. To the point that my family now, when we play Clue, I don't get dealt any cards. And I typically know what's in the middle. Usually either a turn before or on the turn that somebody else does. And it still drives them nuts. And they think I'm cheating. Like, they'll sit there, they'll have their what's his face thing like this, and they'll look at me and make sure that I'm not looking at them, or if they do, they'll be like this, or they'll mark it, or they'll flip it upside. Like, they'll do all sorts of shit to try to, like, stave me off from whatever cheating they think I'm doing. And it always drives them nuts. It was even funnier because God and Moonfat came over the one time. And we were chilling out playing Clue, and my wife and child warned them that I am really good at Clue, and they were doing the same thing, and every single time I was still winning. And they're like, how the hell are you doing that? I'm like, it's deductive reasoning. It's not a difficult thing. It's just deductive reasoning. And they're like, no, you're cheating. I'm like, how the fuck am I cheating? You mark the cards. Dude, this is a fucking store-bought set. How did I mark the cards? Look at it.
X-ray vision, that bastard.
I feel like this probably turns into like a legitimate issue at your house. Like, after you're done with the game of Clue, you're like, okay, hey, what's everybody? We're gonna have dinner and sit down as a family, and then everyone just silently glares at you at the table, like, dude, this motherfucker.
It's been that way before. Like, I've actually, when we've played Clue, I've been like, hey, look, everybody, I am not going to win a game for the first hour. So however many games we get in the first hour, I am not going to win a game. After that, I'm going to start playing. And they're like, okay. And like, what I would do is I would sit there and we'd be marking everything up. And like, as soon as I knew who it was, I would just turn my card over, put it flat down, and then I would just start randomly doing stuff. And I think we were over at my brother's the one time, and I did that. We got all the way to the end, and the person's about to guess. And he goes, I think it was my brother. And he said, all right, I know, I want to guess. He's like, who do you think it is? And I said, well, I can't tell you that. And he's like, I'm going to show you mine. This is what I'm guessing. I said, okay. He's like, you show me yours. So he showed me his. I showed him mine. They were identical. And he's like, how the fuck did you know that within the first 5 minutes of the damn game? I'm like, I watched everybody and just figured it out. So that's why you don't want to play Clue with me. But anyways, on that note, Eran the Destroyer, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all as Eran the Destroyer. I have all of the social media, and I'm decently active on all of them now, so I can be gotten hold of on all of them just about any time. So that's where the people can find me if they so choose.
Nice. I was trolling you on Twitch a little bit ago.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I was getting messed with. I was extremely aggravated already. I was left in the middle of nowhere. I was completely lost. It was horrible.
I know, I dropped that soundbite on you. Somebody else did it first, though.
My brother. He does that all the time. But I got him back with the Nazgul one. I actually got him. He's, like, notoriously difficult to jump scare, and I finally got him. I was like, oh, it's, like, 1v1,000.
Nice. What about you, D? Where can people find you at?
People can find me on my website, microbrewgamers.com. I've got a YouTube channel, Microbrew Gamers, with a Z instead of an S. You can also find me, I've got a Discord, but you'll usually find me trolling a G.N.A Discord. I've got a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, but I'm barely ever on it. But I'm thinking about picking it up one of these days, get some more, more hours on there. But yeah.
Very nice. I am Cecil Xavier, your host. You can find me on Cecil vs. Games on Twitter, Cecil Xavier everywhere else. Ustream, Twitch, Discord, Facebook, Grindr, Tinder, Bumble. I don't know. You can find me everywhere, Cecil Xavier. So if I'm not there, let me know. I'll upload there. I don't care. I think my Pornhub account was closed though. I have to check that. Anyway. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Reviews help people find the show. So if you enjoy listening to us, let other people know, so they can enjoy us too. You can find us on Google Play Music, Podcast Addict, Player FM, Spreaker, MyTuner, Your Listen, Spotify, iHeartRadio, but pretty much anywhere you can normally find a podcast. If we're not there, let us know. We'll upload there. Happy to. We have a partnership with Humble Bundle, where Humble Bundle is a game purchasing service with a twist. You can buy games, but also donate to charity simultaneously. We've got a cool new bundle out there that is actually 100% donating for cancer. 100% of, I think, all of it goes to cancer. And it's got like Dead by Daylight on there. Crap, there was a couple other ones that were on there. There's one that I didn't have. Like, I had a whole bunch of the ones that were already on there, but there was one that I didn't have it was like the top game. Crap, I forgot what it is, but I'll put it in the description if I can remember. Go check them out. If you have a slider, just make sure to put the question mark partner equals G.N.A podcast at the end. If you have a slider for us, put it all the way down to 0. We don't want your money. We just want to want you to let us know that we sent you there. We have a website, www.gnapodcast.com. Currently, we have all of our listings up there for our episodes, as well as we have links to our Teespring store, and actually we have articles over going to Microbrew Gamerz website as well, because we had delusions of grandeur putting articles up, but it was just a lot easier to just point over to D, since he actually writes articles, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Go check out our Teespring store. Actually, I just threw another shirt up there that was made for my work. It's a funny shirt about impact. Go check that out. It's awesome. Go order it. Yeah.
We should add a G.N.A dildo bat to the store.
G.N.A what? Sorry.
Dildo bat to the store.
Dude, if Teespring will let me,
yeah.
I'll throw it up there. I could probably get somebody to draw a dildo bat and just be like, dildo bat on a shirt. Maybe that's a thing and I get it for Zyber. Or I have artwork done with Zyber holding a dildo bat.
You could do like keychains or pins or something with the dildo bat. So like put on all your stuff.
I could. Oh, I could put, I could put a die-cast sticker of a dildo bat.
That would be wonderful. I'd slap it right on this wall behind me for every stream.
I think I've got something I need to get done here. Think I do. Well, thank you both for joining me tonight. And sorry for being such a short show. My chest is killing me. I've muted myself so many times to cough, and I think I might be getting throat cancer from the amount of cough drops I have been taking in. So, but again, thank you both for joining me, and have a great night.
Have a great night, man.
See you later.